This is a really cool moment too, when you've got the pole sitter being the defending champion. You know that if you earn this NT title, you've beaten the best previously, boys. Lights are out, 30 laps the journey.
Rounding turns 3 and 4. Blake Walsh pacing the field. O'Connell on the high side. Walsh maintains the lead. Casey O'Connell to the high side. Tyson Martin goes around in turns 1 and 2. We stay green, but undoubtedly we'll get a yellow here.
Flat left rear as well, boys. What a heartbreaking moment for Tyson Martin, who just makes it in. Clear communication there from Tyson. What a shame. Heartbreaking. Steering wheel is already off. The MG Electrical entry. The reigning national champion is out. Look who's scooted to the lead. We thought Blake Walsh would get there. Casey O'Connell's got the bit between the teeth. Cody O'Connell just... Blake Walsh is the O'Connell meat in the sandwich.
Casey O'Connell, fastest man on track by 0.2 of a second. Matt Seeley in their horsepower NT61, looking to mount an attack on the sister car of Cody O'Connell. Very formal at the moment with just 4 laps run. Walsh still hanging on to the back of the Q1 of Casey O'Connell. The 4 of Zane O'Toole all over the wall, exiting turn number 2. He'll be looking to bounce back from last night. Jenke also gets into the wall on the exit of turns 3 and 4. He's strapped to the rear bar as we see the front get light. O'Connell vulnerable from a slider from Walsh as he throws it in there. Casey checks up and tries to get the drive down the front straightaway, side by side. I thought for a moment there we're going to see them touch. Walsh regains the lead. Holding on to it. Casey stays behind the NT1. The smart choice as they encounter some heavy lap traffic. Murdy and Taid, they go a lap down. O'Connell throws a huge slider. Just can't get there. Clips the wall with 18 laps left to run. Your top 5 still Walsh, O'Connell, Seeley and McInnes. That slight little touch from O'Connell there with the turn 4 wall has just dropped him off the back of the defending NT champion. We see up the front, Blake Walsh having to negotiate some really dense traffic on a slick racetrack. And then for the minors, a huge 6-car battle. Now this is one of the positions where you really need to bide your time. It has to be frustrating if you're the Queensland champion of Casey O'Connell with a really dense racetrack in front of him. We see a slow car of Cameron Jenke cruising down the front straightaway. This has thrown a huge spanner in the works. Will we see the yellow? Doesn't seem to want to cruise to the infield there. Staying on the racing line. And that's going to bring out the yellow, Gav, with just 9 laps left remaining.
What a run from Blake Walsh and Casey O'Connell through traffic. Holy... I know we've been focusing on the top 2 a lot, but we've missed the Matt Seeley getting to 3rd. But how...
Seeley also in the mix. Just 10 laps remaining. As we get a green. Walsh with a good launch. Casey O'Connell still in tow in the Q1. Casey O'Connell throws it against the fence. Seeley in the 3 spot. McInnes and Cody O'Connell battling for the 4. Blake Walsh with a really nice jump. I thought he was possible on that start, but unfortunately, the Q1 of Casey O'Connell just can't seem to get that hot rod rotated through turns 1 and 2. Battles for the minors wherever you look on the racetrack. A nice, easy lead for Blake Walsh. Fastest lap of the race on lap 22. The pressure certainly hasn't got to him. Wherever you look, absolute action on the racetrack as we see the NT61 of Matt Seeley clobber the wall. on the entry of turn 3. So does Casey O'Connell, and the left front goes down. Left rear, sorry. I think that's the whole rear end of the Q1. A retirement, that's heartbreak with 7 laps remaining.
Drive line's out of it, mate. There's a wheel off another competitor. It might be Goldoni down in 3 and 4. Absolute chaos right here with 6 to run as the yellow lights come on. Mate, it was fever pitch. There's wheels off everywhere. There's rear ends out of race cars. Whew, what a lap or two.
With just 7 laps left remaining, I took a glimpse to the Casey O'Connell car there, and obviously the driveline's laying in the middle of the backstretch. I looked back up to the monitor, and there's a wheel flying through the air.
Boy, Daniel Goldoni's been mighty in that NT5 in his charge from a B main. Take it on. Big thanks to Extreme Garden Care. If you watch this car, he's sliding in like he's done so many laps prior to this. Boom. And then right there, pops the left rear off the wheel. Again, slams the wall. And then when he's coasting back, fortunate nobody was right behind him, there goes the rear end because the ladder's out of it, shoots the rear end of the torque tube and the drive line out behind him. And that's all she wrote for the Queensland champion, boys. Blake Walsh to lead them off, 7 to run.
Blake Walsh with another great start as he heads into turns 1 and 2. The hose power NT61 of Sealy in hot pursuit, followed by another Northern Territorian car of McGuinness. Cody O'Connell in the 4 spot, looking to make a charge. Zane O'Toole all over the back of the O'Connell car. All up high at the moment. Scary opts to go to the low side. Try to find a little bit more purchase down low. Sealy still going with Blake Walsh. Just reducing that gap, in fact, from 0.6 of a second just down to 0.3. Just 10 laps ago, we saw Matt Sealy. He was almost 6 seconds off the pace. Now he's right up there contesting for a Northern Territory wingless title. What has he got for the defending NT champion of Blake Walsh?
Won't want to do that too many times. Cloud of the wall on exit at turn number 4. Main straight away as well, Zane O'Toole. That is a monster ride for Angus. Campbell in the 88 car is still upside down. James Rand, we are red, 4 to run. Boy, sorry to take, mate, I just can't believe how quickly that unfolded.
It hurt, and as we go to our replay,
gee whiz, that was big.
O'Connell, O'Toole into the fence. Do we see we can't quite see the last part of that as we pan back now around. The Ren car was in there. Might have been O'Toole that set that off, but yeah, unfortunately the cameras just didn't quite catch that, Rossi Johnson.
Unfortunately, I think that secondary incident for Campbell was just a cause of them checking up to avoid O'Toole in the fence. In Northern Territory, wingless sprint car racing as we go green. Sealy right there in tow with Blake Walsh. Throws it against the fence. Creates a nice buffer down the back straightaway. Sealy, McGuinness, O'Connell. Scary in the 5 spot. 3 laps left to run. Blake Walsh just clobbers the fence a little bit. Sealy running in P2, McGuinness. A big battle for the minors. With O'Connell, Wiseman and Scary engaged in a pretty intense battle. But it's all Blake Walsh out in front. It looks like that turn 1 and 2 fence just isn't discriminating no matter who you are. O'Connell gets into it hard. Wiseman engaged in a fierce battle. 1 lap left to run. Blake Walsh through turns 1 and 2. And sends Sealy and McGuinness rounding the final corner for the final time as red. We've got another rollover through turns 1 and 2. I thought it was all Blake Walsh. Heading into turns 3 and 4, clear track.
Yeah.
He saw the glory. Unfortunately, we go red again.
He can see the checkered flag from where he was sitting. Replaced and bought. We can't replace the drivers, and we absolutely say thanks for the safety equipment that they all have to compete with. Angus Campbell, we saw him jump out after the car was being upside down. Same too for Cody.
2 laps left to run. Walsh goes nice and early. Decent launch by Sealy, still in pursuit. McInnes looking to the inside. Sealy with a great drive out of turns 1 and 2. Scary still amongst them as he opts for the bottom. White flag. Blake Walsh cruising out to a nice buffer over the horsepower NT61 of Sealy. It's then McInnes, Scary, Wiseman in the 5. Rounding turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Blake Walsh is your NT Wingless Sprint Car champion once again, defending last year's win over the horsepower NT61 of Sealy and the 44 of Jamie McInnes.
Again, the one runs deep for this guy. Make some noise for the NT Wingless champion, Blake Walsh. The reference to the NT1, it's got his late grandfather